Welcome back to Hypnovision Studios, guys. I am your host, Nicholas. This is going to be messages from the Soul Center and how the future proves the past. Tonight, I thought it would be nice to read from my notebook on the heels of fourth dimensional thinking and also really highlight the imagination, which is the fifth dimension of the five sensory input. Tonight, I'm going to really show you what can be done when you take the power of the pen and you become the author over your own life, meaning you are the authority of your vessel. You are the master and you are the soul of the being from within, the kingdom from within. My notebook from 2023, oddly enough, is blue. And in the very first page, I wrote thoughts of a man thinking, becoming aware of the patterns, lessons, and observing from within. It is time to decode what is hidden. As above, so below. And I wrote about a place called the Soul Center Venue. This place was a safe harbor for lost souls, for people who were once like me, who did not know better for themselves. This would become the place I call home. Let's begin, shall we? Back in 2023, I was writing about perception and awareness outside of the ego. I wrote as follows: only through the lens of observing can one gain new insight. Let's make a few now that have certainly come to light. Take this with an open mindset. The ego often acts as a guard to I. That simple means first person view. This view is a mixture of inner self and also outwardly, how you present yourself to the outside world. Focusing on this dynamic is the thought patterns that are attached to the personality traits of said person. The interesting part is this. First is what you have learned and what self has conformed as true. Second is what you unknowingly learned by habit. This happens on such a deep level that many in one way are never even aware or realize why they do what they do or how they think in the order of the thoughts they think. Meaning, if you rearrange a few words in a sentence, you change its meaning. This can be a positive sentence or a negative, depending on how the words are ordered. This led me to understand spelling in such a deep level, and I am not talking about witchcraft, but speaking of that, let me really highlight the difference and what it means to be a master at a craft versus being undecided or indecisive, meaning which craft do I need to master to level up? This was highlighted to me not by any organization on the outside, not by any religious means. It was highlighted to me from the spiritual aspect, and it was given to the natural man, being me. That came from my imagination. Sitting in silence is where I heard the voices whisper to me. Let me give you an example. Babies learn by mimicking. This is very true. This is built into the human function. We are learning machines, and the brain is a pattern recognition machine. Your entire life has been built on the past, and your predictions of the future are governed by the limits of your past experiences. It is only when we become aware that greater possibilities exist do we even start to consider that they are even a possibility. This self-awareness goes hand in hand with belief systems, which ultimately becomes a person's moral compass. Those same patterns a child learns to mimic may become dormant, or for some, they may age and progress, but a trigger point at some time will bring them to the surface. I saw this in my own family. I saw the evolution of things happen in front of my eyes. And when I questioned myself, I was revealed the truth in plain sight. Everything grows from the soul. It bears the essence of the fruits and nutrients that come from that soul. This can be seen in the patterns of a personality as such. A person with a child trauma, such as an avoidant issue, will grow up with those patterns inside of the ego and surface when the ego detects the polar opposite traits of another person in its environment. In my own observation, these triggers the ego to go into defense mode or offensive mode, depending on the environment. In many forms, this is the human condition playing out over and over all across this planet in many different timelines, in many different variations, and in many different ways. Yet the root causes remain the same: patterns and cycles and repeating stories of the same never-ending fairy tales. There are no past lives. There is no past lives. There is only now. The future does not exist, only the present. And energy cannot be destroyed, it only transforms. When the ego mind starts to think thoughts of the past, that has an emotional charge attached to it. That is when we get stuck into those cycles of reliving past life events. It is all inside of our head. It has been scientifically proven that the brain can lie to oneself. So, armed with this knowledge of knowing things, one becomes aware of things previously unknown to them. I find this to be very interesting. There is only the present. So if you are stuck reliving these cycles, the idea of the future is the only way out. This has to be intentional. It has to be desired, either by sheer wanting or being forced into a situation. A grateful, happy, or pleasing thought throughout the imagination is how you transform the present. Change the negative past thoughts to change the future in the present. I and my Father are one. That was something that hung me up for so long, and then it finally clicked for me. Who am I? I kept asking myself. I wrote to God and I prayed. I ask you to move through me because I alone do not have the strength. And I now realize, looking back in this writing of mine, that absolutely mirrors Jesus saying that I of my Father cannot do anything without him, but through him all things are done. I wrote to God, I would like to know about my wings. I would like to know more about my past life. I would like to know the memories that some have tried to wipe free. I would like to know the truth, and I would like more mental clarity. This was written in 2023. I believe with intention. The future is bright. You have free will. I repeat, you have free will. Think in harmony. Think of the life experience. Remember why you are here in the first place. Think of the moment of birth. You have no ego. You have no fears. You have no worries. And we all have forgotten how, because we have been blinded by the light. All there is and all there ever was is a connection, but it runs much deeper. It was the unconditional bond at first sight, the unconditional love that held that bond together. We all have egos, and I am no different. I learned my lessons head on. The ego was full of so many memories that were hidden from me. The ego is the guard to the inner self. So now you understand what it means to gray rock, because walls work both ways. Trying to keep people out, you keep yourself trapped inward. And understanding sexual energy in 2023 and the beginning of a practice which I have now become very devoted to, understanding the transmutation of sexual energy into my dreams and manifestations. I am the one, the only one. There is only reflections. I am confident. I am a leader, and I give in abundance. I am a chain breaker, and I look good doing it. I will give endlessly. I am the change, and I am aware of my own experience. There are no others, and I observe the role they play. I do not always identify with other beliefs. They want to experience my presence, but I have to remain positive in the mirror. So I wrote some daily devotions. Number 1, give to yourself. Be your own best friend and commit to yourself. Be aware and be mindful. Check your own ego. If you are not true to yourself, how can you expect anyone else to be? Work on your self-talk. Practice changing words from impossible to possible, simply by giving yourself space. Connect with nature and clear your thoughts. Enjoy the natural beauty of creation around you. Feel the breeze and hear the sounds. Enjoy the warmth of the sunlight touching your face. Ego, it is something like what is stuck on a frying pan from leftover food. So hard to get the food off, but I'm aware of such ego complexes out there. I am aware of others' egos, and I can deal with most of them, but perhaps dealing with my own was the battle I had avoided for so long. I waited all of my life for this moment, and it was now that I became the one. I am in tune with the feminine and male aspects within myself. And for those who wish to call it something evil and something that they do not understand, I understand this clearly now. They lack the self-awareness. Because just like the Trinity has 3, electricity also has 3. And yes, my friends, that is 33. There is the positive, negative, and neutral aspects in all of life. This is found in Mother Nature. So when I say I am in touch with my feminine aspects, I do understand the laws of gender. These are natural laws, not what we identify with in human form. I understand that which is not seen, that comes from the imagination, that comes from the heart space. My next entry, my ideal self, balanced in the light, centered in oneness, observing, not judging, nor absorbing. My ideal self points to the light, into the darkness to seek and rebalance in harmony. My next entry, in the future we dance. I'll show you the rhythm is divine. Before we go there are a few things you first must know. I am not who I used to be, and by now you have watched it all unfold right in front of your eyes. I am more redefined, and my light is very bright, and I must not hide my sun, but I can show you a few tricks I have learned. Watch it pulse to the beat. I can slow the pulses down. I can move like water, so fluid and graceful. My resolve is hard as a rock. Just like the earth, my passion burns so hot, but I am in control of the intensity now. My voice of wisdom leaves my mouth like in harmony with vibration. I am also air. I let go of everything to feel joy again, to be free again. I let go so I could feel alive again. The bond, as I thought more and more about it, I kept coming back to the truth, and I could not unsee what had been revealed to me. I embody the elements. I understand because I am one with them. You see, that is it. The bond of oneness. I am a 5D, multidimensional understanding of myself. I see music. I see things in imagination. I see what others cannot see, and I used to see that as something that was a bad part of me. But I accepted myself with all my greatness and all my flaws, and I learned to appreciate each and every one of them. So I ask myself, who am I not to trust? I am that I am. Why am I so lucky? Because I am lucky. I understand the laws of speaking over my life. I understand the power of the tongue and understanding how it can tear one's world down and build another's up. Next entry. She thinks about him and misses him. The moment when she remembers the lessons and the stories that I used to tell her, she pauses and something clicks. When the lessons finally clicked, I am highly attracted to her. I miss her and deeply love her unconditionally. What I realized about her below the surface triggered in me an awakening that I was not ready to see. The truth is, I could never hurt her, and that is different from the idea that an action I take from me could. Once I myself realized that letting go of everything, my ego, my traumas, my insecurities, I just kept letting go, and I went inward. I know she loves me, and I am very grateful for that feeling. It's the very warming feel of such love that helped me heal so much. Because of her, I am on my inward journey. I learned to love myself again. I learned to be whole again. That was only a lesson that I could learn from the inside. I also learned in the reflection and the mirroring. She is very much like me, a younger version in so many ways. For one, she is very pretty, very smart, funny, and her mind is such a beautiful thing. However, also like me, the hurt, the pain, the trauma from others in her life experiences has caused her to doubt herself, her belief system, and to second guess everything, even losing trust in others. This is something I deeply realized, and in that moment, I jumped to do the most compassionate thing I could think of and give the one thing I wished to receive, and that was unconditional love. I was transformed that night because of my desire, and I truly gave love from a selfless place. It's the letting go so I could become the example that people like us can change. We are worthy of love and healing. I put all of my love and desire into the universe, my true wishes in front of my own, and then I let it go. For her, I wish healing, I wish understanding, I wish knowledge, and I wish growth. I wish for her to know what unconditional love is, and first, she has to learn to give it to herself. She is worthy, and I believe this wish to be a fulfillment of mine. I would love nothing more than to be a part of her life. But for now, I have to let go. Now, I have to trust in my faith, and I have to trust in the universe. I am grateful for this experience. I am honored to share my wisdom. I am grateful for the lesson that I have learned. I am grateful that she will realize her heart's desire one day, and I am grateful that I truly believed in myself. No matter where life takes us, I am most grateful to have had my own little piece in this puzzle. So I want to reveal a gift to you, the blueprint and a promise. I had to transform because telling you was not enough alone. I had seen clearly by this time, but I had not realized all that was going to be revealed to me. I heard that you asked for someone to pray for you, and that prayer was already answered. Somehow, since that day, I made that promise. I have been compelled to keep it. My devotion has become my bedrock, of faith. Even separate, it cannot be broken because it was written and spoken with emotion. The feeling of the clock running down. A certain time, a certain place, the clock and the numbers, a deep awakening, longing, messing home, messing the stars. But now the path is clear. The blueprint started with merely an idea, an emotion with great intensity. These writings have revealed so much to me. Then I took it further. I made videos. Then I reflected. That was a promise that held great value. The key to the universe is already inside of you. Yes, for me, it was a bumpy ride, but I remember that smile on your face, even without a picture. Clearly, you are so much more on the inside than you give yourself credit for. I see so much more. I want to help you process and understand this gift better. I have somehow gathered some homework for you to do. First, understand people have free will. Do not overthink this too much. You will have a better understanding. In the beginning, we have covered so many topics from my writings, but I have left you hidden gems. So writing can be seen in many forms. How the future today is proving the past. It's 100% emotions. Once I cleared them out, all the childhood trauma, all the patterns, all of the pain, my emotions became calm and smooth like calm water. This is how I understood the true meaning of Jesus walking on water. It was a psychological understanding of putting the mind over top of the body and stop letting the emotions rule my self-being. I believe that I am ready. I believe the time is now. I believe in erasing karma by working in the lights. I believe in unconditional love, and I believe in giving and receiving. I believe in forgetting and letting things take their own course. I believe in myself. I believe in harmony. I believe in teaching. I believe in healing. I believe in my dreams and my intuition. My imagination is the image that I am creating. My spiritual gifts are something I am no longer afraid of. I believe when I am ready, the time will not be far away. I believe the change has already happened, and I believe my family will be happy for me someday. I believe I will become better at healing, not just myself, but understanding how to heal others. I am grateful to understand things that I could never put into words, and now convey them to you. So here's another entry. This is called ego prisms. What does it mean to be stuck in an ego prism of dreams? Aware of your ego yet? Yes, I am, clearly. Identity shift. Are you aware? Yes, I see it. If a person does not make time to connect with inner self, then it becomes harder to keep one's own harmony. The ego, in many ways, is the projection we cast outwardly. Many times, much of this happens in such an automatic way that we are unaware of its own happenings. Have you ever been around a person with such an accent and find yourself starting to pick up the same accent? This mimicking is often a form of flattery. However, just like any mirror or even any shadow, there is always a less flattering side. I don't wish to go much into the dark side of things, but for now, I would like to use these examples of unhealthy traits that I have personally seen in myself. Insecurities, childhood traumas, resentment, and I have seen passion aggression because I have felt those emotions. What I see most when I truly become aware is that I do identify with them, but they do not define who I am in the present moment. I do not believe these traits are in line with my core frequency. Now I am free to see them for what they are and to call them from the unseen to be seen so they can be released. I can now, with my own awareness, begin to go within, to work as the alchemist from the core, from the root, and nurture my tree of life. To relate to the experience of oneness, the connection to creation. With so many cultures, religion becomes the rigid framework. Yes, they put the Creator in a box and hidden much of true history from us. Creation, the oneness, does not fit into a box, however. When you start to ascend in alchemy, you begin to see things that were once hidden. Knowledge so vast, unspoken, it cannot be fully grasped in a 3D plane. It's the framework to create. The problem I see is that most, no matter how well intended, are so unaware that everything we experience in the outside senses are interpretations and perceptions from inside another person's box. It's the belief system that we must discern. I do not identify with a certain religion, only the one of oneness. No matter the perception, I discern and seek the patterns of the core beliefs. So what I am saying is the only way to truly connect and become aware of what ego is and what unwanted traits are you have inside that were mimicked. This is called the ego prisms. In the mind are reflections, good and bad lights. These can be seen as electrical charges, whether they be positive or neutral or negative. This, as I would later come to realize, is how we charge the nervous system in the body. If we see the human body as the tree of life, we are either charging one side of the nervous system or the other. Next entry. Now I mix for a different result. And now I mix to create, not to mimic. I now mix because I see the patterns of this gift. I see the value of this gift. I see how sharing this gift can create a positive impact when used in the right alignment and within harmony of creation. I am an artist with a deep logical understanding. I love to solve problems that challenge my imagination. I do enjoy writing. I enjoy teaching. And I am grateful that I become aware of these things while I still have time left in this body. Being aware of these traits, these mirrors and mimics, the perceptions and the shadows, is all smoke and mirrors until you connect inside and see the truth. We are all connected and we are all one in the same. I understand something very clearly now. We do not just meet people. Our energy is something that we really interact and mix with. It is so important to know who you are mixing your energy with. Below the surface, under the ego, is a soul living in a human body, having a human experience. Perception from the void gives clarity, and from the lens of oneness, which I write from now, is most important. This takes me back to understanding the transmutation of sexual energy, the very root of the reproduction system and the source of life creation. From all sexual energy, life is born and evolves. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a most raw and authentic, most deep inner thoughts of myself. Over the past few years, this whole book has been from 2023, and it really highlights how things unfold once you write them into existence. And once you set an intention and you use your emotions to fill them into existence, they become part of reality. The future indeed proves the past. So the next entry, do unto others. Well, this is a statement that comes full circle. but it's truly not just a catchphrase on the surface. Outwardly, showing bad body language and more than just a triggering thought. I am talking about emotions attached to those thoughts. It's clear there is creation, and then there is God. There is religion, and then there is opinion. There is God underneath it all, the foundation of all things, the rhythm and flow of it all. Why do I speak of religion and foundation? Who transcends it all? Before religion, which most of man-made interpretations come from? How do I even know the real truth with so many people's opinions? When I break down the word opinion, I find the word pen, and what comes to mind is a linchpin in which people can pin you to a belief and try to put you into a box. I am aware and I understand this now. Knowledge is being realized from within. Not only have I found this to be a powerful connection, but understanding that it all starts to guide you. Being more aware of the pitfalls first was a bumpy ride. Honestly, I used to think everything worked against me, but now I see how it works in my favor. The ego must submit to the natural laws of the universe, and I am in charge of this vessel. In May of 2023, I wrote, "The performer, influencer, and fallen star awoke to the fact that he indeed was an earth angel, a very divine being. He battled his ego like a wounded warrior until he completed the domination of the ego and put it into complete submission. Only through submission can you flow, because trying to dominate ends up being the main reflection in the mirror, meaning you become dominated by the things of the outside world. So surrender is where we find the divine. This is not a God complex. To know thyself, because you need not misuse or abuse the vessel that you are created in. Unwanted vibrations create problems. I am neither a perfect person or a bad person. I am simply a person having a human experience. The future is bright, with God and ego and body becoming the light, the triad, 333, we are free. The door is open to come home. Home is healing, love, being, awareness. Home is like-minded. And for those of you that don't know, it was this time of year, because now looking at my notebook, it makes me have the memory flash when I saw the number 38 flash 5 times on my phone. And when I went and looked up the angel numbers for the number 38, I came across the understanding of what the ascended masters meant. And this is also correlated with my journey on semen retention and abstinence. When you start to understand that sexual energy is the root cause of everything, and you start to understand magnetism, which I will do a live video on camera for you guys very soon, and really this will be the Mac Daddy of them all. But it is the magnetism of everything, positive, negative, and neutral, mind, body, and soul. You have the Trinity, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. There is the Trinity aspect in all things. So 3 is a major number in this creation that we call reality. To understand the outside that may sound like rubbish to others, but through his eyes, she saw him in multi-layers of life. She started to understand him through imagination in 5D, but now is where we dive deeper into the void towards the center. The explosion that creates light releases energy supercharged. Now as the DNA spine spirals like a cosmic dance, all the data or records of our previous generations are now either activated or deactivated, solely dependent on the vibrational state and the time. Let me be clear and ask you, if that sounds silly, then consider where we get the term love child. Where does it come from? Or the truest meaning of creation. Our DNA is the blueprint. But you do not have to believe me, but I offer you the truth before I shift my vibrational consciousness. The vibrational state is commands to the DNA, essentially much in the same way cymatics allows us to see sound and sacred geometry in water. It is the imprint onto our soul that is like the programming for the next 9 months of our life. They become like rings of a tree. Remember, you have to count from the center to see how old a tree is. The new human creation is suspended in fluid. We know many references of water. It gives life. Water can transform and take any shape. The human body is 70 to 80% water. Now, isn't that something? So really, what is the point of writing all of this? Well, for one, I wrote it from memory. Number two, I have spent a lot of time over the past year with different tones and frequencies. I can tell you that it is possible to unlock your DNA. You can gain new gifts, and that has been locked away. Through the eyes of his angel, she sees how he has tried to explain himself as creation himself, the energy of creation, that the Big Bang is locked in your DNA. Some might call it the holy water. God, I see it as formless in the center, indeed created in the image. Only in calm waters and the internal knowing do a true believer not only deny this, but come to know thyself. Perhaps you have had a first-hand experience or saw the light of Father Time in creation. Would you have a hard time creating words so fitting to explain? Well, that is the problem. So would you have such a hard time understanding what you can never forget?